I wanted to go over how our maps work, quote unquote, our maps. So this is basically the most important part of your job. This is really what we're hiring and or possibly firing you for doing or not doing well. We've got to be able to set up the rooms correctly, and we've got to be able to reset them, not just correctly, but really perfectly. There really shouldn't be any exceptions. And the reason why there shouldn't be any exceptions is because it's written down for you. And we've got to be methodical. We have to be methodical about how we reset our rooms. We've got to do it the same every single time for every single employee. And the good news, again, is that our quote-unquote maps, they explain everything that's in our rooms and where they go, and there's detailed notes for them. To be perfectly honest with you, I would rather you take extra time to reset and for your next group to be 5 or 10 minutes late and make sure that you get it right, as opposed to resetting it quickly and rushing through things. Okay, I can't stress this enough, but do not rush. Do not skip ahead. Even if you know where something goes, just don't do it. You're going to confuse yourself. Just take things one thing at a time. You'll see here in a second, but you'll start from the back, the last page of the map and work your way forwards. It just makes a lot more sense that way. Okay, but the very first thing, let's talk about the setup. Notice right here it says when you first arrive. Okay, so if you're coming at the very beginning of your shift, there are several things that you're going to need to do. Some of these things on this particular checklist here, they just repeat themselves for every single game. But some of these things are unique to a certain room. This happens to be for our Mental Mayhem game. Okay, that's kind of our beginner level room, one of our beginner level rooms. And whenever you come, well, the first couple of things are pretty basic. You're going to turn on the lights and the air conditioning and the heat. When we actually train you in store, obviously we'll show you where the lights are and the air conditioning units. There's 2 of them, by the way, and we'll talk to you more about that. You'll go into the room and you'll set their timer. It's just a kitchen timer, and you'll set it for 60 minutes. Pretty straightforward. Again, we'll show you where that is in your actual training. You're going to need to make sure that there are 2 sheets of blank paper and 2 pens, a minimum of 2 pens to write on those sheets of paper. All of our games pretty much require, well, okay, I shouldn't say require, but you're almost certainly going to have to take notes in order to escape the room. There are certain things that you're going to have to translate and things like that. So long story short, you need to make sure when you first arrive that those 2 sheets of paper were there. The last person that reset your room should have taken care of it, but occasionally there are times when we forget. But like I said, if you follow the maps, if you follow these checklists, you should get it right 99.9% of the time. Okay, so make sure that there's 2 sheets of paper, 2 pens to write on. You're going to turn on the speakers. There's a speaker for each room, so that way you can communicate with the people that are in the room if they ever need to ask for a clue or something like that. In the case of Mental Mayhem, there's a flickering bulb that you're going to need to turn on. We'll show you that when we actually train you on this room, but I'm just using this as an example for now. You'll pull on all the locks in the secret room in Mental Mayhem, and then you'll make sure that the secret room is locked. By the way, and we'll explain that a little more in detail, but when you train you on this room. And then the last thing is to pull on all the locks in the main room. You're just double and triple checking, basically. The person that reset the room should have locked everything correctly, but just in case. I mean, occasionally, you know, the locks, you thought you locked it, but it turns out you really didn't. So occasionally, things like that do happen, but if we double check and triple check ourselves, we're going to be in good shape. Okay, now this section over here will come to at the end, okay, but this is after you reset. and before you leave for your shift. Okay, there's a checklist of things that you need to do, and most of them are just the opposite of the first checklist, the when you arrive checklist. Okay, so we'll cover that here at the end. But let's pretend for a second that your group is done. You've taken their picture and you've sent them on their way, and they've left the store. So you're going to come back into the room and follow along with me. But the rest of this Word document here, it's going to take a while to scroll through here, but the rest of this Word document is the map, quote unquote, for our rooms. Okay, so the map, it has a couple of purposes. So one of the purposes is that, while the people are going through the room, this map shows you where certain clues are and how to open certain things and things like that. Well, let's start with the basics. Okay, any one of these blue boxes here is some kind of compartment. And if you hear that kid in the background, that's Larkin. He's our oldest son. He's having a good time, it sounds like. But these blue boxes are some kind of compartment that holds something. Okay? So like this first one, okay, it happens to be the main room. So you walk into Mental Mayhem, and this blue box represents what's in the main room. Now, for this one, the key or code used in yellow here, there's nothing that opens the main room because that's just where you start. Okay? But if you look the next section underneath where it says clues and puzzles available, these are the clues and puzzles available in the main room. These things are just sitting out in the main room for people to find. Some of them are hidden a little bit, but they're just sitting out for people to find. Like, for example, there's the piano riddle. You'll see what that means when we actually get there, okay? But the piano riddle, in parentheses, in between the books. So there's a bookshelf. This riddle is just on a piece of paper. It's hidden in between some books. All right. Good enough. The magnetic alphabet rearrange. There's some magnetic letters that you would stick like on a fridge. There's a blackboard, and two of them are on the blackboard, right? And so on and so forth down the list. These things on this list right here, let's see if I can get that to highlight. These things are the things that are available in the main room. There you go. Okay, now the next box, these don't necessarily go in order every single time. Every group is going to be a little bit different. There is no right order, quote unquote, for all of these rooms. To be honest with you, especially for Mental Mayhem, you can do a lot of different things in a lot of different orders. Some of our other rooms, they're a little bit more linear. Like when we train you on Spy another day, you pretty much have to do one thing right after the other. Okay, that being said, though, okay, take a look at this next blue box right here that says jewelry box. Okay, notice a couple of things. So we've got a silver lock, and this is our code, 6534 right there. Okay, and that'll be helpful in the reset, by the way. So the key or code that's used to get into this jewelry box that has this silver lock, 6534, it happens to be the number of the sides of the shapes engraved on the box. So on top of this box, there's like a what is it? A hexagon, a pentagon, a triangle, and a square that's carved into the top of this box. So the way that you get this code right here, 6534, is by looking on top of the box and seeing these shapes that are engraved. Now our customers have to kind of make that logical conclusion by themselves that, oh, the number of sides is the numbers that go into the lock on this box, right? So 6534, you enter it in and you get to open it up. So right here where it says clues and puzzles available, well, the only things that's in there are 2 or 3 magnetic letters. Now remember, there were 2 magnetic letters over here in the main room. that were available, just kind of sitting out. All right. So we've got 2 or 3 magnetic letters that are available whenever you open up the jewelry box. So I get that to highlight. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, you get the idea. At least I think you do. Okay. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We're not going to go through this entire game, but give me a second. Sorry, this computer is kind of old and slow. All right, so okay. So we fast forwarded. Another compartment that we have right here is the bottom dresser drawer. And it's got a red lock with a blue dot on it, and the clue is letters this time, and it spells out loony. Like someone who's loony. Remember, it's a mental institution. That's what mental mayhem is all about. Okay, and so we've got our magnetic alphabet rearrange that came from the main room. Notice this little clover right here. That was the symbol that goes with the main room. And then you've got other magnetic letters from the jewelry box that we opened with the different sides and everything like that. Well, you put those 5 letters together, you rearrange them, and you can spell out the word loony. So that's what this map is trying to show you. Okay, and then once you open up the bottom dresser drawer, you get a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, you get a block me puzzle and transparent overlay, and you'll figure out what some of these things are when we actually show you the room. Okay, but you get lots of other clues that are available, right? Okay, so that's kind of the point of the map whenever the customers are there and whenever they're playing the game. If they ask for a clue, you can kind of help them out and point them in the right direction. And like maybe, for example, they can't figure out what the first 2 letters. Okay, why are these 2 letters just out here in the main room? Well, they can't figure it out. So maybe you kind of point them towards the jewelry box that has the shapes engraved on it, and you tell them. If they ask for a clue, okay, don't just volunteer it, but if they ask for a clue, you can tell them, well, look on top of that, jewelry box that's sitting on top of the dresser, and do you notice anything about it? Maybe count the number of sides of those shapes, and they'll figure out, oh, hey, maybe that's the code to unlock the box. At least, hopefully, they figure that out. Okay, so that's the point of this map while the game's going on. But the real reason for this map has to do with the reset. So let's pretend like your group is 100% done. They're out the door. Hopefully they had a good time. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I've scrolled down to the very last page of the map, and bear with me while my computer slowly, very slowly, scrolls up the page here. Okay, so this is the end of the map. This last compartment is the box with the timer in it, your little kitchen timer that's counting down from 60 minutes. And it's a silver lock, green dot, and we've got our code right here, 17234. So in this case, for the last box, we won't actually lock this one, but just make sure that the code 17234 is in there. And the reason why we won't lock it is because the next employee that comes along is going to have to get in there to set the timer, and then they're going to have to start the timer at the beginning of the next game. So it doesn't really make sense to lock it. We'll just leave it unlocked for the next employee that comes along. Okay, and on this one in particular, there's no clues or puzzles available. It's just the kitchen timer that goes in there, and so there's nothing that you need to put back in here. Okay, but notice, oh my goodness, notice all the key/codes that are used to open this last lock. You've got all these pieces of daily pill lists and all of these hidden pills, and okay, and so that's kind of the end of the game. You're gonna have all of these things, and this is what's going to let you into that final lock. Okay. So let's so on this particular box right here, there's nothing for you to put back. Now let's go to the next page. So you always start in the back and work your way forward. In Mental Mayhem, this is the first game that we designed. Okay, so here's the second to last page. But it was the first game that we designed, and we've done it a little bit differently since then. But you'll notice that there are these different stages. Okay, so we started at stage 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and 5. So stage 5 right here, okay, is where this is. Now, for whatever reason, we decided to have these boxes just on the left, on the right, and in all the other games, it's just from bottom. You're going to work from bottom to top. Okay, does that make sense? You're going to work backwards when you're resetting the room. You're going to start the last page and put whatever goes in that compartment. You're going to put it back. Okay, so when you're doing the reset, all you need to worry about is what the hidden pills, what they go in. The black box. It's got a silver and black lock. It's 2711 is the code. Make sure that these hidden pills make it back into the black box, silver and black lock. You don't have to worry about the illuminating wood. You don't have to worry about the key or code used whenever you're doing the reset. All you are concerned with is this last section down here. In this case, the hidden pills. Okay? So be methodical. I'm going to stress this again. Your number one job, okay, the reason why we hire you and the reason why we could fire you is getting this reset correctly. If you don't do your part and get this reset correctly, it could ruin it for the next employee that comes along, but more importantly, it could ruin it for the next group that comes along. Okay, they could end up having the wrong clue at the wrong time, and things could just get really messed up. So make sure that you put stuff back where it belongs. That's your number one job. Okay, like I said earlier at the beginning of this video, you have to be very methodical every single time. Okay, you're going to learn these games pretty well eventually, but even the person that designed these games, that's me, even the person that designed these games, if I need to follow the map, and if I can't skip ahead, you can't skip ahead either. Trust me, I've done this a bunch of times. Okay, you're going to find yourself thinking, oh, I know where, this thing goes or where that thing goes, but it's later on in the reset. Well, just leave it till later on in the reset. Don't skip ahead. You're going to confuse yourself. Trust me on that. And that's how things get reset poorly. Okay? So trust me on that. In the case of Mental Mayhem, what I recommend that you do, better yet, not recommend, but what I'm asking you to do, I'm requiring that you do, is start on the bottom left-hand box, then go to the bottom right-hand box, the middle left-hand box, the middle right-hand box, and then work your way up. Okay, work your way up the page. Okay, and then go to the next page. Okay, what would be the third to last page. So hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, so every time, the only thing you're concerned with is the clues and puzzles available. What does it go in? It goes in the heart-shaped box, silver lock, 9248. Make sure the right code, make sure the right lock and the right code goes with the right compartment. Go to the next one. Brown box, black lock, blue dot, 0723. The only things that go in there, hidden pills, one piece of the daily pill list. Okay? And we'll tell you what that means, hidden pills and daily pill list. It's just, a bunch of pills that have different colors in them. And these pill lists, they're just little strips of paper. Okay? But we'll explain that when we actually teach you this game. But what I want to do right here with this video is I want to teach you the concept of these maps and how they work. Okay? So when you're resetting, all you're concerned with is the clues and puzzles available, where they go, and the code. Make sure you have the right lock with the right code that goes on that box. Okay, so you'll do the same thing, repeat the process for all these other boxes as you work your way to the front page of the map. Okay, I'm not going to go over everything with you right now. We'll do that in store, and you'll know how Mental Mayhem works. But same process: bottom left, bottom right, middle left, middle right. Okay, top left. And let me show you this real quick. So the front page for Mental Mayhem, you have stage 1 over here, and you have stage 2 over here. Well, this one I kind of goofed up a little bit on the map, but you'll do stage 2, which is the right hand side of the page. Do stage 2, work your way up. Hopefully that makes sense. Then you'll do stage 1 last. Stage 1 is all the stuff that's in the main room that's just kind of out for everyone. Now once you've got everything back where it belongs, using the same process, being very methodical, starting in the back of the map, working up the page, one thing at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself. Once you've done that, that should take you to the front page. Remember our checklists? Well, now we need to do the Mental Mayhem after reset, but before you leave checklist, which for the most part is the opposite of the when you arrive checklist. But again, follow these things one at a time. Throw away the notes from the previous game. Make sure there's 2 new sheets of paper, a blank paper, and 2 pens for the next game, right? We don't want the next group to have the notes from the previous group. That would be a serious advantage for them. And by the way, they probably wouldn't have as much fun if they didn't have to figure things out for themselves. You know what I mean? Okay. So then turn off the light and the lamp, the flickering bulb in the secret room. Turn off the speaker. Turn off the timer. Make sure, and we'll show you what this is in the first place, but make sure there's 2 or 3 note cards with lemon juice writing ready in the desk drawer in the control room. That'll make more sense when we actually show you it. But sweep. Okay, you've got 2 hours and 15 minutes for your shift. You're supposed to be there half an hour early. Your group should be in there for about an hour, which means that if you do the math, you should have roughly 45 minutes, depending on how long it takes your group to get out and take pictures and stuff like that. But you should have typically 30 to 45 minutes or so to reset. And if you have time at the end of your shift, when necessary or if time permits, we want you to sweep. We want you to check the closing checklist, which will be in the control room, to do other things if time permits, like take out the trash, mop, stuff like that. Okay, so that is pretty much what you need to know about the maps. Your number one job, the thing we hire and fire you for, is to make sure that the games get set up correctly and make sure that the games get reset perfectly every single time. As long as you follow this process of starting in the back, working your way up the chart, taking it one thing at a time, not skipping ahead, using these checklists, you'll be in good shape. And I'm going to say it one last time, but I designed these games. I designed these rooms, and I need these maps in order to reset them correctly. I need these checklists in order to make sure I get everything done. If I need it, you probably need it too. Okay, so make sure that we use these maps and use them perfectly every single time.